This is Miss Lizzie, and I want to welcome you to the Queen Lizzie podcast. Together, we will go through the history of Rosewood, Florida, and watch as the once prosperous town rises out of the bloodshed, fire, and ash to reveal the people, the memory, and the legacy of Rosewood. Watch every Thursday on Facebook and YouTube, or listen to our story on Apple or Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. Hello, everybody. I am Lizzie Robinson Jenkins, representing not only the Rosewood Foundation, but the personal testimonies and history of cherished friends and family. You are now watching the Queen Lizzie podcast. Today, we are talking with Annie
Muscato, like
Muscato.
the wine.
I'm
That's
glad
you to remember it.
Yes. Okay. And Annie is from Archer, and what we are going to also talk about today is the charter school initiatives. Okay. But right now, I need to talk to you about Rosewood. You know that my podcast is concentration. The concentration is Rosewood. And the reason it is, my aunt was a Rosewood school teacher from 1915 to 1923, survived the massacre, told my mom her story. Let me back up for the people who may not have heard this before. Survived the Rosewood massacre in 1923, January 1. And she shared her story. My aunt, who was a teacher, shared her story with my mother. My mother, 4 children, I'm the youngest, age 5, shared the story with me. And until this day, I have not forgotten it. I've done, for the last 31 plus years, I've done research, uninterrupted research to authenticate, document, and tell the truth as ordered, commanded by my mother. You must research, authenticate, tell the truth, never attack anyone, because the people living back then in 1923 are not responsible for Rosewood. So I don't attack, I tell the truth. But she highlighted, you must preserve it, because history of sort can never repeat itself again. So that's why I work very, very hard to follow my mom's instruction. Also, I have recently published a book that is called Lizzie's Rosewood Race. And before then, in 2003, I published another book about the Black history of Archer, which is called Alachua County, Florida. You may purchase these books on my website, www.rosewoodflorida.com, or leave a donation. Join the foundation and become a member. If you're listening to us today, and you will be in a few minutes, you must subscribe so that you can hear everything that we are going to talk about, or we're going to say, inform you about charter schools and why you think we should or should not. Okay? I mean, we're not trying to persuade anybody. We just want you to do the right thing. And here, the subject matter will be shared by my guest today, Annie Muscato. Okay? So, Annie, you are on. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you are welcome. So, it's all yours now. You have the floor. You may say anything you need to say or inform us about charter school. And I'm serious. I'm an educator. I don't know what's going on. I'm a former educator. Okay.
So they've had the vote. So what happened is there's something in the state of Florida called a conversion charter school, which is a very specific type of charter, originally intended by the legislature for schools in smaller communities that were essentially failing or that the district couldn't support. So think like Jefferson County, small rural counties. So if a school district says we can't support this school, it provides a method legally for the school to become a charter school so the community doesn't lose the school. So potentially good intention for this legislation written for this. Unfortunately, that it wasn't designated that a school has to meet certain requirements to be converted, so anyone can say they want to convert a public school, which is what happened in Newberry. So a group of parents that actually, if you pull the founding paperwork, it was really just two parents,
Really?
founded a 501c4 called Education First for Newberry. They founded it in November. End of November is when they signed the paperwork. They filed it with the state of Florida in December. And then everyone else in the community found out about it in February on the 19th when there was a press conference in downtown Newberry with
Yes.
Mayor Marlowe was present and
I was
Representative Clemens was present. Sounds
Yes.
like you were present.
Yes.
And they rolled out that they were going to be calling a vote
Yes.
to convert Newberry Elementary, Oakview Middle School, and Newberry High School into charter schools through this charter conversion process, which means parents sent letters to the principals that said, we would like to call a vote. That triggered the vote. And then a vote had to be called within 60 days. So they just had the vote like 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
So parents and teachers all voted if they wanted the schools to become charter schools. And then the supervisor of elections sat in a public room in Newberry, and we watched her sit and count ballots, and none of the schools passed.
Was this her job?
It was.
Part of her job, or
It's
did
not
she-
part of her job description, no.
Yes.
So it is it's the responsibility of the school district. So the Alachua County Public School District had the responsibility of calling the vote. They, I think very wisely, reached out to supervisor of elections and said, would you
Wonderful.
be willing to do this for us, because we are not set up to run a vote of this scale.
Perfect.
Education First for Newberry also was a part of that process and requested supervisor of elections ran, and how it was handled. They requested, after some pushing, I think, from us, that they extend the voting hours. Initially, the voting hours available to parents were only during school hours, and then we pointed out for folks in Archer or folks who work, that is exceptionally difficult to then drop off your ballot in person. So they did adjust that, and then the supervisor of elections handled it. But I think a lot of conversations ended up happening then between February 19th and when the vote happened in April, in that 2-month period. That really, I think, got a lot of people engaged in the community and got a lot of people thinking in the community. And there certainly seemed to be a lot of social aspects to it that maybe were not considered when this proposal was brought forth.
Exactly, because many people that I have been talking to, they're all saying, well, there was no transparency. We did not know. When I got my call, it was the day of the meeting to be there from a friend and said, Liz, there is a meeting, da-da-da-da. She said, you must be there. I said, I have a meeting tonight. She said, you must be there. So I canceled my meeting, and I went, and I was there, and I was surprised. I did not appreciate the conversation or the message that they were sending, okay, because we didn't know anything about it. I live in Archer. I am a former teacher. I attended school in Archer in 1942, that same school that's there now. That was my school in 42, and the class I was in was called Charter. Okay, don't know why. It wasn't kindergarten, it was charter. The next year I was in first grade. Okay, but we are not happy, and today I am not happy with what is going on, and a person I talked to and wanted to know how I felt about the school. I gave that person one word: scary. That defines who I am and how I feel about the charter school. Today, if I had to define how I feel about the charter school, I would use the same word: scary. It is scary because I can foresee, and maybe I am too old, but I think I'm old enough to look back in time and see division. I'm not in the mood for division. We have come too far. Okay, we don't need, this is not about division. This is about us coming together and sticking together. And when I tell my Rosewood story, it's always about truth, reconciliation, peace, and healing. We don't need to go back there. I'm not going to sit humbly okay, and listen to what may or what you all are planning to happen with the charter school. I'm not quiet. I have a mouthpiece that I'm going to use, and if there's anything I can do to help, I will. And I have a message also, and I don't know if I should be sending this message, but knowing Lizzie, Queen Lizzie is going to send this message to the who were they? To the campaign managers and the political consultants. I have a question for you, and you are supposed to be consultants. My question to you, this is my signature question, and anybody can use it from henceforth. Who is going to evaluate the evaluee? Okay. Who is going to evaluate the evaluee? And you are the evaluee. Who is going to evaluate y'all? Okay. Think about that. In other words, I'm saying, if you have all of these degrees and these consultants and whatever, you are consultants and political campaigners, who says you are right? Who is going to give you credit for doing the right thing? You got people out here, and it's not about you. It's not about me. It's about the children. They are first.
I think, and they were arguing, of course, that this would be better for the students. Clearly, I disagreed because I advocated hard against them being able to pass the charter. And I think it's an important distinction that charter schools can be a really valuable asset in a community when they are in addition to the public school option.
Yes.
If they had come and said, we would like to build a charter school that's really innovative or tries these new things, I would have supported it wholeheartedly.
Right.
Because we already have a strong public education system, and I think that adding to that public education system can be fine. It can be great.
Exactly.
But you cannot take the public schools away.
Exactly.
Which is what they were proposing, as they were proposing replacing the public schools, which then for the students in Archer. And they were also, to their credit, claiming that everyone in the current school zone could still attend the schools. That didn't match up with a lot of what they said in the beginning with, well, we're going to fix overcrowding, but then if you have all the kids currently zoned for the school, you can't fix overcrowding. They had, it seemed, failed to consider the fact that currently Newberry Elementary School is a K through 4 school and classified as a K through 4 school because the district, in response to overcrowding, has moved 5th grade to Oakview Middle School.
Right.
But if it passed, then that means every student in the district, in the current school zone, the district would be responsible for assigning a public school. So there would be no need for 5th grade at Oakview Middle School anymore, because every student in that zone would be assigned probably Archer Elementary or Terwilliger or one of the other schools. So they wouldn't need the 5th grade there, which then would leave all the students who went to the charter school with no 5th grade. They would have to go to Archer for 5th grade or Terwilliger for 5th grade. It just seemed like they hadn't
Done their
fully
homework.
thought through. They had done a really nice job putting together a campaign. They had a well-run campaign, but the plan for the actual school seemed like maybe they hadn't considered. And there is a disparity that no one seemed to want to talk about until I brought it up in meetings between Newberry and Archer. And we have more black kids and we have more poor kids. And that is who it is going to disproportionately impact if they had made that change and the schools had successfully voted to become charter schools.
And what you all are doing, it is so appreciative. Okay, that's why I reached out to a young lady in Archer and I said I need somebody to talk about charter school. Okay, because I'm too old to vote. I can't vote. However, I noticed there are some people talking and speaking that are not parents and that are not teachers, but they have a voice. And I can't understand why, because this is not political, okay? Politics should not be involved in this. Maybe I'm wrong, I don't know that. But to me, if he is allowed to speak, then I should be allowed to speak. Oh, I am allowed to speak. I'm speaking now. And I know he is listening good. Yes, thank you all so much for being the driving force behind what is happening to the agenda. We're going to hear more, I know, and I think we can handle it. We will be working together, okay? We are almost at our halfway mark on the show, and I'm thinking we are there. But anyway, that's about time for our first half. We are going to head to a quick break, and we'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.
Meldon Law has been serving personal injury victims since 1971. In those days, Jeffrey Meldon's presence as an attorney in the music scene dubbed him with the nickname the Hippie Attorney. And although times have changed, two things haven't: our commitment to bettering our community by helping the injured,
Albert, are you ready to go to the game?
and our love for the Florida Gators.
If you bleed orange and blue, Meldon Law is the firm for you.
I am Black History.
I am Rosewood Black History.
I am Florida
and
America's Black History.
And you are too.
January 1st, 1923, the KKK insurrectionists attacked Rosewood, killing 5, burning it down.
Because a white woman lied and cried, a black man assaulted me. Rosewood redevelopment is on its way.
Want to help? Visit rosewoodflorida.com.
Welcome back to Queen Lizzie Podcast, brought to you weekly from Steve Spurrier Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. We are here with Annie Muscato. I still can't get it right. We are here with Annie Muscato. Okay. The Queen Lizzie Podcast is brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union, live from the Meldon Law Gator Studios at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. Special thanks to Greg Bradley, Allstate Insurance. We are back. And I would like to, again, give thanks to my special newly met friend today for agreeing to come on as my guest today at the last minute and talk to us or share your knowledge about charter schools. And I understand your father was or is?
He's a retired school board attorney, school district attorney, and a government, Florida bar certified government attorney for the last 30 years who recently retired. I have 2 kids who are at Archer Elementary. And then my brother's 2 kids are on their way up into Archer Elementary. So my parents retired. I grew up in Fort Pierce.
Okay.
So they retired up here since my brother and I are here. And the grandkids were a big appeal, I think. They say it was for us, but I think it was for the grandkids.
Yes.
But he retired last year. So it ended up very convenient that we had access to an attorney who worked with the school board and is very familiar with charter school law in Florida and with conversion charter schools. So we had someone sort of in our corner who we could run things by, because it is a convoluted process. And they had the funding for a very well-qualified, the expert attorney in charter schools working for them in an attempt to get the public schools turned over into charter schools.
Wow, that was so bold. But thanks to your father, and you tell him I'd like to meet him.
I will. He would love to meet you.
And I don't mind driving to see the kid. I have a favorite place there. I go occasionally to eat. Okay, so I don't mind driving there.
Oh, and they're in
with
town.
you.
They're in town all the time.
Oh, are they? Okay, so if they're here, let's make sure we meet. And where do we go from here?
I would like to say that we just move forward, and now the community has spoken, and the schools voted, and they didn't pass, and that's the end of it. I'm concerned that this will be called, the group indicated that they would call a vote next year as well. If it doesn't pass, you can call for a vote every 12 months. So I don't know if this will be the end of it. So I think it's important for people to stay engaged in their community. I think the benefit of this is it has really revitalized a lot of folks' commitment to the schools and resulted in a lot of important conversations about the schools and what we want for our kids' educations. Even I appreciate some of the folks speaking out who are members of the community. We had a gentleman working with us who doesn't have kids yet. He and his wife moved to Newberry for the schools, and they've been trying to get pregnant. And so he got involved and was really helpful because he said, I care about the schools in the community. And I think everyone should care about the schools in their community.
Exactly. And this is why I say it's not about us. It's about the kids. The kids are having fun. I enjoy Newberry. I love Newberry. And I love what it stands for, but I don't like what is happening in Newberry right now. And I am outspoken. I need you to know this, y'all. I don't appreciate what's happening, because when I said I went to school at age 4. I walked to school 3 miles to Archer Elementary School every day and 3 miles back. But I was fortunate enough to have a bigger cousin, senior maybe, carried me on his back. And I went to sleep on his back. I don't want to go back there. And I know we're not going back. That's not your intent. But just to think about where we have come from, and you all are talking about taking us back. It sounds like you want to take us back to slavery. And I know that's not a very nice word that people like to hear, but stop it. Okay? Treat us with respect. Treat the parents and the students with respect. They have already voted, and they said, no, let it go.
And
That's the end
I
of it.
appreciate you said the word intent, because I think there's a really important distinction between intent and impact. So their intent might have been genuinely good. I want to give everyone the benefit of the doubt. I want to give everybody grace. I want to assume God will judge, and so I don't need to do that.
Exactly.
And I can assume they had good intentions and they genuinely thought this was a good idea. But the impact would have been bad, particularly for the citizens of Archer and the kids in Archer. And so at that point, your intent does not matter anymore. Your impact is what matters. And they were told, here is how this could be negatively impactful. Here is everything we know. So at this point, if they don't choose to believe the folks who live there and the folks who have experienced things and the folks like you who have this life experience and have the perspective of time and history and activism, now they are intentionally choosing to ignore the negative impact. When they started out, they can say we had good intentions. But if they proceed now, they can no longer claim good intentions.
Exactly. And I hope you all heard what Annie just said. You no longer have good intentions. It's about you. Okay? And power. I don't know if I should have said that. Well, I can't take it back.
I mean, I think you're right. If you're going to say it, I'll co-sign. I think it is too. And they said that. They said this is about taking the schools away from the school district. That we don't, and I won't advocate the school district is perfect. I have issues with the school district and the school board too, and I appreciate that those are elected officials that I can then vote out of office because I have that power as a citizen to vote. But this would take that power away from me because now it's being run by a group that I never elected. I never chose.
Exactly, and we don't know if you all have degrees or not. There are people out there without degrees, and they are involved. So if you are a teacher, good. Okay, it sounds like you are political. You're not an educator, so you don't know how to write a curriculum. And you plan to use, don't they plan to use the Alachua County school curriculum?
They never said. We had a lot of questions for them about the actual running of the school, so they never clarified the curriculum. They never produced a discipline plan because we had a lot of questions about that. They never actually produced a budget. They produced a budget summary, and when finally pushed in the last public meeting they had where we said, okay, but this doesn't give us an actual 5-year budget for each of the 3 schools, it's a summary budget, they said, well, our attorney has advised we don't share the budget. So we actually got the budget through a public record request because if you remember, there was a Newberry City Commission meeting where they stood up, the CFO stood up and said, we've read the budget and we reviewed it and we found it to be valid and feasible. So we knew the city of Newberry had it. So we did a public records request and we got the budget and it was not feasible. But I also feel like the burden of doubt should be on the person producing an idea, right? If I say, they essentially said, you just have to trust us. We have a good budget. But if you're proposing an idea to someone, that burden's on you to justify how you're going to do it.
That is so true. And that's why I continue to say I am so proud of you all and what you have done and are doing. And I love Archer. I love Newberry, but I love Archer more because this Archer is my life, my lifeline. My great-grandmother walked from Jackson, Mississippi to Archer, Florida,
That's amazing.
age 13 in 1839. Never saw her parents again. This is her life, and as long as I live, I'm going to fight for her. I can say things that she was not allowed to say. On her way from Jackson, Mississippi, during the walk, she would talk back, as my mom said, to her slave masters and the horseback riders, and they would, punish her as a result. I'm talking today. Please don't try any punishment on me. I am saying what she would have said. The two things that she wanted more than anything else was to vote and learn to read. She died not knowing how to read, never voted. So I'm fighting for her. My words may seem strong, good. I mean,
They should be. Some things deserve strong words.
That's right.
This is one of those things.
Exactly. I'm speaking for her on her behalf and for our kids on their behalf. I don't want them to experience what I experienced, and I don't like talking about this, but I do. I sat at the lunch counter in 1960, St. Augustine. It was not pleasant, but I have the right to speak and share it. I can I can remember things that happened that should not have happened when I was in school. And I know we're not going there, we're not headed there. But I think about how bad and some of the experiences that I had during my time there. And these kids are blessed. We don't want them to have to experience what we have experienced. And I truly, truly, truly respect you all. That's why you are here, and you are coming back. And
I
if
would
any-
love to.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. And if anybody else out there would like to come on and talk about charter school, even if you voted yes, I'm extending you the invitation. Let us hear what you have to say. Okay? And I'm going to say the same thing I said today. So if you come, just be ready to answer my question.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, indeed. But also, I just want to close with a tribute to our moms. Mother's Day is coming up May 12th. And in Archer, we always have sponsor a Mother's Day weekend festival. I will be there. And the name of our organization is ACPO. I have the T-shirt on. ACPO, and we are celebrating I don't remember the year, but we will be there, and we would like for you to come and sit with us. The charter school, yes and no. Come to the Maddox Foundry on May 11th. I will have my booth there. It's going to say Rosewood, Florida. I will be selling my books, and I am inviting anyone who wants to come by and just say hello to me and meet me in person to come and worship with us, okay? Don't forget to visit my website, rosewoodflorida.com. Make your purchase. If you don't, just visit it. Read the history so that you will know and can share it with your kids and send them to read about it. It's a painful story, but it's history, and nothing changes that. Okay. I am continuously humbled, honored, and blessed to meet people daily and invite them to join in peace building, healing, and reconciliation through learning about the history of Rosewood. That will wrap up today's episode. I am Queen Lizzie. Until next time, this is my Rosewood story, and I'm sticking to it.